If you look in your agenda today, you will find something in there called the Occupational Licensing Review Special Enrollment Period. This came actually too late to have in December because we'd already had our December meeting. So they wanted this to either be passed or not by January the 1st, but we're having to look at it today. Let me explain what this is. The Louisiana Department of Justice Occupational Licensing Review Program was created in 2021, and that was a committee that we would have to submit any of our legislation to, any changes in our rules, regulations.
Right. Yeah, that was just an added step that they made us
Right.
do.
That was an added step because what we've always done, if we have legislation, we go to the committees on the legislative side, and they will pass it, the House passes it, the Senate passes it, and then it goes into law. So they had this extra board that we would have to go to alongside with the committees in the House and the Senate. So anyway, that went along for 3 years, and then for some reason or other, the legislature decided they didn't want to do that anymore because they were having to go to that committee and do the same thing they were doing, I guess, in the legislative session. So they canceled it. Now, after that happened, the Attorney General, Department of Justice has sent an enrollment to recreate part of this. And what it would do is to have this board established, but it establishes the oversight plus it helps with any fees from lawsuits and things like that. The problem is they wish to charge us now $3 per license, which would be $124,658 to join this, which would mean that next year I would have to dismiss a couple of employees, and the year after that a couple of employees. And so that is to just be able to get into this program, and it's not required. This is something that is, the board can decide what to do. So let me just say that if they had brought this legislation or a proposal to the legislature to let each board licensee pay $3 to them, and it would automatically increase each board's license by $3 to include that cost, would have been something easy for them to do. They didn't do it. But we do not have $124,658 to join this particular insurance deal. This is money that would go to the Department of Justice to help them with their lawsuits. Now we do have two attorneys that we pay each year. They do a good job. Some other boards may not afford attorneys. We can. So far, if we do this, we may not be able to afford anything. But now, if you wish to join this, we need to make a decision today so that we can inform them that we either yes want to join and to give them $124,000 a year, or no, we don't wish to join, and we have our own lawyers. So if you would like to just go over this rule, and then you might want to talk about it in a minute, but need to make a decision whether or not we wish to do this.
Sharon, is this the same review board that we have to see after, is this like the same people we have to go through, like after we do administrative changes, and then we have to go down to?
Just to clarify, the Occupational Licensing Review Commission was created in 2018.
So
we
it
have
is then
been going before that board to have our rules reviewed. That was a board that was under the boards and commissions,
Yeah.
was appointed. That board has been terminated as of December 31st, 2024.
Thank you,
So
Lord.
all of our prior rules since 2018 have gone before the Occupational Licensing Review Commission for review. The Occupational Licensing Review Program was started in 2021, and so they were both operating. And you had the option to go to the Review Commission or the Attorney General's Licensing Review Program, which the Review Commission did not have an additional cost to the board, but the Department of Justice program did have a cost to the board. And the way they assess the cost is per licensee. So because the Occupational Licensing Review Commission is no longer an option for rules review, this is the only option for an independent review. And so the independent review is recommended for boards that have active market participants, which this board does, because you're members of the industry that you're regulating. And like Mr. Young said, it is voluntary, but there is no other
Review committee.
independent review agency in the state of Louisiana. This is the only one that exists. So they did, because generally it's on a fiscal year basis, that you could only enroll prior to July 1st, but they extended the enrollment period, and this enrollment, if you do enroll, is for an 18-month period, it's the remainder of this fiscal year plus the next fiscal year. And they did reduce the fee to $3, it was $3.89 a license, but because of the participation of other boards, they reevaluated it, and now it's $3. The work that Kelsey's firm and my firm do are not really the same type of work that is done by the Department of Justice companies. We're doing the enforcement and general advice, and this is really not within the scope of our contract. So I just wanted to clarify that. Of course, we do try to, give guidance when we can, but this is a group of attorneys within the Department of Justice, which will review the rules as they're submitted. It's a different process from the process that we were using. The Occupational Licensing Review Commission used to review everything before you could publish a notice of intent in the register. The Department of Justice does it simultaneously with your publication. So you submit it to the Department of Justice when you publish the notice of intent after you get the fiscal statement. This program also includes review of board orders, disciplinary orders, which the Occupational Licensing Review Commission did. So it's broader than what the commission was doing, and it is a staff of dedicated lawyers that are going to be reviewing it versus the commission, which was representatives from multiple agencies. So it's a little bit different. And I see, actually, I brought an old copy. It was $3.98 before that, then it went to $3.89, now $3. So maybe it'll go down further, but I just wanted you all to know it's different from the prior commission.
And at any rate, we do our rules and regulations and our legislation that goes before, the House and the Senate, and it's passed. They had this other board and commission you could go to that they could look at it and tell you what was right or wrong, or what they liked or didn't like. But I don't think we can afford to join this group of lawyers who, for some reason or other, would like to tell us what we can and cannot do.
Sharon, 2 questions. One, was it not the purpose of at least the commission that we used to go through since 2018? Wasn't it like the whole purpose to make sure that we were not like exceeding authority or like making the rules overburdensome or whatever? That was like their purpose, right?
Was real to avoid liability under federal antitrust statutes, but they did, if they saw something that was inconsistent with the law or could be interpreted as such, they would point it out.
Okay. Second thing is, what did we do prior to 2018 when they started making us go to this other, well, when they created this other commission? It was just a regular, send it to the registrar, public hearing kind of thing, right?
Correct, that was since 2018.
Right.
Had the commission.
That's what we did prior to 2018 to become promulgated, right?
Correct.
Because we are speaking about administrative rules, right?
Right, so rules are different from legislation. Legislation
Right.
is gonna be, you know, sets the scope of the board's authority. And then there are areas within law that you have the ability to make rules. One of it is special permits, and that's, was the discussion about Shampoo Assistance this morning. And so the rules are anything that's gonna regulate a third person, not necessarily your staff or
Yeah.
or internal working of the
Our goal book.
office. Right, but it's regulations that are enforced against third parties. Against
So-
parties that you regulate.
Is there an option to not spend 120 whatever thousand, 60 whatever $1,000? Since the other people are disbanded.
There is not an option to obtain an independent review.
Is that something we need? Can you and Josie just look really hard and make sure we're not?
We're gonna do
Trying
our
like
best.
scrutinize our stuff and just make sure we're on the up and up?
We are not considered an independent review because we work for the board.
I
So,
get that.
That's the first thing. So we would not be considered independent review, and I don't believe the scope of our contracts, which are approved
Yeah,
by the
I
Attorney
get that.
General, include that scope of work. But we wouldn't be considered independent
But
anyway. So there
is
is
there an
no body
option
that
to
you
not
can
have
go
an
to.
independent thing?
I don't think you
It's
have to
not,
have.
it's not mandatory.
Well, there's nothing in law that says we have to have an independent review, nothing.
Nothing.
Gotcha.
So,
So as long as our attorneys are fine tooth combing it,
The November 22nd letter from the governor, the end of the second paragraph, it says, without such supervision, both boards and their individual members are subject to significant legal and financial liability.
that's always been.
What's the likelihood of that? By saying,
Michael said, hold on now.
what's on the line there? Is that a scare tactic, or is that something
sorry,
that
where
could
are
be realized?
That's what the November 22nd one. It's
November
November 22nd from state of Louisiana.
So
From the
one
time
of
of
the
the
things
governor.
that
in and I'll pay the money.
One of the things that you get from the program is protection from liability, because you did obtain an independent review. So if you don't obtain the independent review, you're carrying that risk.
So it'd be highly beneficial for us to have this when we can't afford it.
They take payment plans?
Correct.
Do
So
they?
if somebody
Can we
has
pay
a problem with a law
Can we
book
payment
in the
plan
whole
it?
book,
Or you guys.
and they
can
want to
put it in
sue us for something, it would be this group that would help with that?
No, they
They're
just
gonna
tell
make sure
us.
that what we put in the gold book doesn't make someone want to sue us.
Right,
Got it.
basically.
So
And
if
so-
you
Can we
choose
write
to
this
So I just wanna
down
resign
into the fee?
From writing the gold book, I'm no longer gonna do the gold book. I just wanna throw it out
25 plus cover
there.
your new program?
I'm not doing the gold book anymore, this is gonna be my last time.
He wants.
Yeah,
Thanks
like
for that
my
heads
thing is
up. We're paying them $124,000 a year, but they don't know the scope of what we do as cosmetologists.
I agree with everything you're saying, that's why.
I feel like if they had looked at our bank account, they probably would have charged us 25
So
cents
Sherry,
less.
my question is, how many boards have signed up for this already? What's the response to this program so far?
I haven't looked at it in a couple weeks.
Because I can't imagine we probably would, it's kind of like, wow.
I don't know if they updated, a lot of the boards are struggling with the cost of it. It's, because there haven't been fee increases to a lot of boards in a long time. I do work with three boards, I think, that are under it. The physical therapist, but they were under it before. The social work board just joined it, so they have a set of rules that will go to this commission in January. And the licensed professional counselors, I think, were already under the board. And I don't know if Kelsey's firm has others, but those are the ones that we work with a lot of the medical boards, I think the Department of Health has recommended their boards to be under.
But what does this $3 a license go to?
It goes to pay for the expenses of the Department of Justice to administer the program, and so.
Just more money.
We're
for them.
paying for them, yeah.
Okay.
They needed to put this in their budget that they submitted to the legislature.
And so it's now or never? Like now or until what, next fiscal year?
Until-
Next
correct.
actual year?
Correct. They granted us an extension to get to our meeting date to make the decision, but the cutoff was actually December.
Is this something we need to discuss in closed session?
I don't know, but I don't think that's a good look to take on 124,000 some expenditure and then say, hey, we need a fee increase. Just a thought.
Just put somebody's name on the deal y'all want to get rid of.
I got a couple names I can throw in the hat. To get rid of. Don't let it be mine. I like it here.
I was trying to see if they updated their list. They hadn't updated it. Still like it.
We're taking $3 a license versus like that person's license. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's in it for them? Yeah. How do you justify it to your
We have a
license?
recommendation.
I was looking to see if they updated their list. I don't see an updated list. I know that the medical board was under, there weren't a lot of boards out there. Less than a dozen before this was disbanded, but I don't know how many, but I know that there have been a lot of enrollments. So that was the justification for reducing the fee.
This is something we need to make a decision on today. Okay, do we need to discuss this in closed session?
You don't know. Hell no. There's no basis for going into executive session.
There's no basis?
Not on this.
I have an objection, Sherry, in case y'all are thinking about doing executive session. He said there's no basis.
I just advised the
Yeah,
chair.
she just told me that.
Gotcha.
We're not. So,
Nice job.
so if,
I would like to make a motion to not move forward with this time.
I second it.
okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?